Greetings fellow tank commanders. In this video I'm going to be showing you a game that I played in the Kaiju O-I. This is a tier 6 Japanese premium heavy tank with standard matchmaking. The Kaiju O-I is one of 4 monster tanks released during the Halloween event in 2016. The game I'm playing is a standard battle on Fisherman's Bay War with tier 7 as the top tier and 1 artillery on each team. Most of the players in this game are using lightly armored tanks besides the Oni on the other team, which is the tier 7 Japanese tech tree heavy tank. The Kaiju O-I does not do well in large open spaces, so I'm heading to the town on the eastern flank. I don't have much support on this flank, so I'm not looking to make an aggressive push. I would have liked to have had the platoon of ARL 44s coming to this flank, but instead they went on the western side of the map. Although the Kaiju O-I's side armor is nothing phenomenal, it's more than enough to side scrape against tier 5 enemies, and it also allows me to keep in cover of the building in front of me so that the artillery doesn't get an easy angle. When planning out your game strategy with the Kaiju O-I, you're going to almost always want to be a frontline heavy tank. When you angle your front armor properly, a lot of tier 6 and 7 tanks are going to have a hard time penetrating you. The usefulness of your frontal armor drops considerably when you start fighting tier 8 enemies. But otherwise, when you're in those tier 6 and 7 games, try to stick yourself out there and block as many shots as possible. You can soak up a lot of fire and provide a great distraction for your teammates to get some great damage hits. Now, since the enemy hasn't shown a significant presence on this side of the map, I'm going to move forward and support my teammates that are already moving ahead. In most cases, I would be the one leading this charge, but this Churchill one is a little more eager than me, and I don't really agree with him charging at an Oni, who just got a brutal hit on our tier 7 Panther and destroyed him. It's not a surprise that our Churchill one is having trouble penetrating the front of the Oni. That tank can just sit there and soak that up all day. I made a mistake targeting the lower plate on the Oni from this angle. Although under ideal circumstances I have been able to penetrate the lower plate with my premium AP rounds, but here at this downwards angle I don't have much chance of penetrating it. That last shot actually missed and went into his track underneath his tank. The smart choice here would have been to target the 2 small machine gun ports on the upper front hull. I would have liked to have gone in and directly supported the Churchill one, which is charging the Oni, but there's a medium tank that's coming around the back and I can't leave him there. Remember that when you're dealing with flankers of a lower tier, your rear armor can bounce some shots, so you don't always have to turn your front armor to deal with them. Try to get in the habit when you're using the Kaiju O-I to properly lead flanking targets, because your turret traverse is quite slow, and your shell velocity isn't high enough to make it a smart decision to just auto-lock and fire. I'm quite surprised how long this Churchill one has been able to last going out so far. I'm going to try to get that T1 heavy tank off the Churchill one's back. Now, considering we're using a super heavy tank with a rather unwieldy gun, the Kaiju O-I doesn't fare too poorly when it has to make occasional long-distance shots like this. Its accuracy of 0.43 definitely isn't the best, but it's not the worst either. And since it has a high pen gun, you don't really need to target a weak spot from a distance, you just need to hit the tank. I've still got my premium AP rounds in to fight this Oni, and it's a super heavy ram. I didn't actually take any damage for the ramming there, while the Oni took 76 damage. This is because I have both a spall liner and controlled impact. The spall liner is definitely a piece of equipment I recommend. Not only does it increase your ramming potential with this over 150-ton tank, but it also is a real lifesaver when artillery is targeting you. I have survived over 50% of my battles with this tank, and I give a lot of that credit to the spall liner, because there's rarely a game that has an artillery in it that I don't get hit by it. Now I'm at a pretty big disadvantage here because the enemy is up by 3 tanks and my artillery is stranded out in the open. The biggest problem though is that the enemy artillery is still alive. I'm falling back to try to provide as much support for the artillery as possible, but also because I know 2 of their 5 remaining tanks are back there. Now once again we get to see this 10cm cannon work at long range. Now that I'm the only one left on my team, I'm going to head back into the city, try to block at least some of the angles that the enemy has to swarm me. Unfortunately, the enemy is playing it safe and capturing my base, so I'm going to have to make a move and try to defend it. Normally, I'd like to try to get in a situation where I could pick the enemies off one by one, just like I'm able to do with this T-20 here, but I only have a minute and 20 seconds to get back to my base, which actually isn't a lot of time for the Kaiju O-I. I would much rather have gone all the way around the outside of the map, but there's just not enough time even with only one enemy capturing the base. This Hellcat definitely should have kept moving while I was shooting at him, because he just made himself way too easy of a target. Unfortunately, I've got to remain relatively still so that I can line up my shots properly and finish off this Hellcat. It is worth it to have one less enemy to fight, but it does allow the enemy tier 5 artillery to get a 268 damage hit on me. That's a pretty big hit for a tier 5 artillery to be getting on a tier 6 super heavy tank, but it is a very common occurrence with the Kaiju O-I since your top armor is totally flat. Now, I might have been able to actually get back to the base in time to get that Cromwell, but I get immobilized by the artillery and I've got a medium tank swarming me. I'm happy I held on to my repair kit as long as I did, and this is just one of the many things I love about the Kaiju O-I, is how effective its rear armor is. I'm able to bounce all of these medium tank shots just by keeping my armor at a weird angle for him to try to penetrate. This medium tank player definitely didn't play to the best of his tank's abilities, but I'm not going to complain about getting an extra kill before the game ends. It's hard to say what would have happened if that enemy medium tank hadn't have showed up when he did. I may have been able to get a shot on the Cromwell in time, but most likely the artillery would have gotten me before I could win the game. Overall, I'm impressed though with how the Kaiju O-I performed, so now let's check the post-game stats and see how I did. For this game, I managed to earn 47,000 silver, with 5,000 of that being from the Damage Master op. I'm quite happy with the amount of silver I earned here, especially considering I fired quite a few premium rounds and used 2 premium consumables. I managed to earn 4,430 XP without any multipliers. That's a pretty good amount for a defeat. During this game, I managed to deal 4,210 damage, assist with 137 damage, and destroyed 7 enemy vehicles while blocking 1,255 damage. This earned me High Caliber, a Mastery Badge First Class, Steel Ball, Top Gun, and Devastator. This is also the game that earned me my second mark of excellence with the Kaiju O-I. I placed at the top of my team, earning a base XP of 1,456. The enemy Cromwell had a really good game, earning almost 2,000 base XP. A great game for the Cromwell, and those 7 kills definitely helped his team win the game. I managed to hit 20 of my 22 shots and penetrate 17 of those. Next time, I'll make sure to target those weak spots on the Oni properly. In terms of crew and module damage this game, I managed to injure the gunner in the Churchill 1, the radio operator in the T-20, I destroyed the turret and injured the gunner in the T-1 Heavy, and destroyed the turret in the Hellcat. Well, that's all for this video. Although it was a sad loss, I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the strengths and weaknesses of the Kaiju O-I. Stay tuned for more awesome World of Tanks videos.